So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we will get underway. Please welcome from the Barbecue and Brews show for the Pitmaster Q&A, Mr. Rayan Fernando.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Good to see everyone here. I know it's early, so let's get as many people as we can to the chairs. So if you can hear this, come have a listen to some amazing Pitmasters. My name is Rayan. I'm from the Barbecue and Brews show with Mark over there, who's corralling the Pitmasters. It's really cool to see everyone here and have a chat. So I'm going to ask a bunch of questions, but this is really about you guys in the crowd. So if you have a question, put your hand up. Mark's going to come and find you. So don't feel shy. And yeah, if you have any questions on anyone in particular. So let's kick off. So welcome to stage. The Arab... He's ready. He's ready. I love it. The Arab world's greatest pitmaster, the Wolverine, smoking out of Mattar Farm in Dubai of the UAE. The father, fighter, farmer, flyer, Hattem Mattar. Yeah, love it. I love it. Awesome. Next pitmaster loves to barbecue in a Texan style. He's with a bit of an Aussie touch. He's cooking an amazing barbecue out of the smoker we all love out there, Jolene. If you haven't seen her, go check her out. Amazing barbecue. And from the co-owner of the award-winning Smokin Hot and Saucy from Islington, New South Wales, right here in New South Wales, it's Robert Thraves. All right, crowd favourite. She's the face of Weber, Australia, New Zealand. Recently graduated to the Weber Grill Master. She's developed over 250 recipes for Weber. I don't think I've said Weber enough. If you've got any questions for Weber, Laura Romeo. They're My Kitchen Rules Grand Champions from 2013. Have since opened their own restaurant in Harvey Bay called Dan Stef's. They make amazing sausages. And you've got to check these ones out. And proud Sun Pork ambassadors, welcome to the stage from Harvey Bay, Queensland, Dan and Steph. Yeah. Awesome. And finally, his love for Southern food started back in 2002, which took him on an amazing journey and created an amazing barbecue and craft beer joint down in Victoria, where we're from, Red Gum BBQ. The only barbecue place that's got a chef's hat, which is an amazing achievement. From Red Gum, based out of Mornington Peninsula, Victoria, it's Martin Goffin. I was like way out. Thanks. Awesome. So I got a few questions to start with everyone. So we'll just split it up. But for the first one to get going, what I really want to ask is basically, tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you here today, just to give everyone a bit of a history. Maybe we'll start with you, Laura, because you've got the mic, and then we'll work our way around.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura from Weber. As Rayan mentioned, first grill master in the Southern Hemisphere, so recently graduated. Yes. So it took about 4 years to get through that process, but proud to finally be here. Meatstocks have been an awesome platform for Weber to connect with consumers, but also for myself personally, presenting to everyone. Like, it's been a huge growth development, but just talking to people, connecting with people. I think that's the whole thing about barbecue, is people coming together. So we look forward to this every year.
I mean, that's pretty much Meastock, isn't it? Like, it's just this community and this festival is just amazing. So maybe we shoot back this way. Dan,
hey,
what
mate.
got you here today, mate, I think?
So we are proud Sun Pork ambassadors. So us and Sun Pork team together, and we have a sausage range in every Coles supermarket in Australia. So Dan and Steph, 3 Aussie farmers snags. Yeah, so we're sort of down here sampling our sausages, a couple of masterclasses, all that sort of stuff. But how we started out, 2013, we won My Kitchen Rules. And then from then we went back to our hometown of Harvey Bay, opened up our own restaurant called At Dan Stef's. Been there 8 years now. And yeah, just sort of still love cooking, in the restaurant every day when I'm not out and about doing Meatstock. But yeah, loving life. Even our daughter's with us today, which is special for us. So yeah, she
awesome.
Sort of had to miss out on the last 2, but she's here today. She's not in the crowd. She refused because she knows I'm going to embarrass her. But yeah, I'll put it hedge over Steph.
I think Dan basically gave us the last 10-year rundown of us. But yeah, Emmy's here today. You can find us at the Sun Pork tent, which is a bright pink tent over this way. Can't miss us. Come and have a sample of our sausages. We have 3 flavours of sausages in Coles. And the guys from Sun Pork produce our pigs and produce our sausages for us. So we'll hope to see you throughout the weekend. We're here all day today and tomorrow, and then we're on stage here at 12:45 to show you how easy it is to roll a porchetta at home. So
Awesome. No worries. Robert.
My name is Robert Thraves. I'm the co-owner of Smokin Hot and Saucy. Originally based out of Newcastle, we now got a location in Penrith and also up in Broke in the vineyards. My wife owns 95%. And I own about 5%, so I do all the cooking and the heavy lifting, and then she takes all the money. And no, it's not true. It's not true. Barbecue's pretty hard. We got into barbecue because my wife's from Fort Worth, Texas. She's born and raised in Texas. We lived over there when we had our first child. I love the concept of cooking with fire. We use wood-fired standard flow offsets. So we use Australian hardwood ironbark, and we like to cook our briskets, pork, beef ribs, really low and slow, aim at 250, 275 degrees Fahrenheit mark. Barbecue to us is family. Everyone's got a secret herb or a secret rub or a secret sauce they have. And when we got married, my wife's grandmother gave us her secret barbecue sauce recipe, which is called Gemma's barbecue sauce. And that really sort of cemented the fact that, wow, we can actually do something with this. So we brought it back to Australia and we started the business. Been going about 7 years now, and we seem to get bigger and bigger and bigger and more smokers. So hopefully we've got a Smokin Hot and Saucy opening up near you soon.
Fantastic. Martin, you want to kick us off?
I'm Martin Goffin. I own Red Gum BBQ on the lovely Mornington Peninsula up in Red Hill, which is a wine region. How did I get here? Well, firstly, I came on a plane. But second...
It's all about the details.
In many ways, I came here on a plane, hence the accent. In 2003, I met my wife at university. She was from the States. And I travelled to and from the States for a long time, and part of that, she introduced me to barbecue, which I totally fell in love with. My son was born in 2011, and I decided to kind of do a side hustle, which was Red Gum BBQ. And the reason why we use Red Gum as our name is that it's the firewood of Victoria. We like to create the connection to place, and in the States often they use the firewood that's kind of native to the area, so we've kind of picked up on that tradition. What else? I don't know. We're the first chef-hatted barbecue restaurant in the country, probably the world at this point, so I don't think anyone else has got one. We're a B Corp restaurant as well, so we're the first B Corp. Basically B Corp is an accreditation around sustainability and all that good stuff, so we're the only one of those. And very much we're about family and connection to place and people enjoying a feed. And I just love smoking meat, so that's how I got here.
Awesome. Hattam, your turn, man.
Is this thing on? Hi guys, my name's Hattem Mattar. Super excited to be here. Shout out to Meastock for having me. The world's first Arab pitmaster, third culture kid, born in Egypt, raised in the UAE, apprenticed in Texas, and I don't know where I'm from, obviously. The cuisine that we make is called third culture barbecue. So it's American technique, and the spices that have come through the spice route all the way from China through the UAE and have kind of developed into its own kind of barbecue that's very familiar to anybody that has the brisket. It belongs to everyone and no one at the same time. Yeah. We've got 4 restaurants now. I'm an engineer, by the way, not a real chef. I don't know how to make a pot of rice, so please don't ask. I left a very well-paying job as the general manager of a multi-billion-dollar oil and gas company. And now in hospitality, my bank account is empty, but my heart is full.
That's the main thing, man. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, I love this story. Now, look, question for yourself, Hattam, and Dan, Steph, and Rob as well, back there. Starting a restaurant is really stressful and hard work, and I think a lot of us don't quite understand that. Well, what's a stressful moment that you got through in your life in the last few years, or that you look back on now and you're super proud of? So maybe while you got the mic, you want to start with yourself.
When we first brought barbecue to the Middle East, The reason we did it not was because we were trying to build a business. We just wanted brisket for ourselves back in 2014, and it's a 15-person, 30-person piece of meat.
Yeah.
So when we started going to events and running out of brisket, people had no idea. We were Weber as well. We had the Weber barbecues in the back. And when we were out of sandwiches, we're out of brisket. And they're like, well, why can't you just make some? Right behind you. I'm like, no, wallahi, I swear to God, we can make some, but come back in 3 days, And by accident, the hype turned into our calling card.
Yeah.
You show up, if we're out of brisket, the Weber barbecues in the back are just for decoration, So getting through and kind of educating the community about what barbecue was versus grilling, low and slow, that it takes time, and introducing that cuisine to an entire part of the world was incredible.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Yeah.
That's unreal. Love that. How about you guys?
Yeah, so obviously 2013 we did My Kitchen Rules, and it's reality TV. And let me just give you the heads up, there's nothing reality about reality TV. So when we first got into that, we just loved having people over home and cooking for people. That's what made us happy. We'd, start the prep. We'd shop on the Thursday, start the prep on the Friday. We'd have people on a Saturday night or Sunday lunch or something like that. And this ad come on TV about wanting to, do My Kitchen Rules, season 4. So we applied and we got through. So then when it come our time to cook, obviously people knock on your door and you got to feed 12 people. That's all well and good. You can stop and start and you get breaks and all that sort of stuff. Then we did that, we won, and we decided with the prize money we'd start our own restaurant. Let me tell you, that's very different. Like, I've got a full restaurant and those people aren't going anywhere until they're fed. Like, there's no stopping, starting. And I had the grand plan idea of being in the kitchen all the time. And that's when you've got people that are paying customers and they're sitting in your restaurant looking at you pretty much, because open kitchen, you can't escape it. So that was like, wow, this is a lot different and a lot harder than we first anticipated. And we just had to adapt like we did on My Kitchen Rules. So, very different.
Awesome. Yeah. How about yourself, Robert?
For me, we started out with a 3x3 marquee and a small little offset. We had people around at home and they told us they liked the food, so we thought we'd take it to the local markets. We started selling out, and then we scaled up. We bought a food truck, which we turned into a restaurant. And I guess our biggest challenge was then getting people to come to us, because we'd been used to going to events. Like, Meastock's a fantastic event, draws a lot of people in, lots of things to do, lots of food to try. You can go walk through the pit. But to get people to come to your place to try cuisine they'd never tried before, and they don't understand, is very difficult, because the cost involved in cooking barbecue that we do starts the day before. So our briskets for service on a Saturday like today go on the pit last night or yesterday afternoon about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Right. So we cook them all night, they take them off, we rest them. So all that labour cost, that timber we're burning, the meat prices have all gone up over the last 5-6 years. That translates and trickles down to the customer. So when they walk in and they see it, and they sort of shy back a little bit, because we also went through an area where brisket was used for rolled roast in Australia, or used for trimmed out and minced up. And so you never actually got a low and slow brisket until the last couple of years. So we're educating the public on what that is. So it's not rolled roast, it's not dog meat, it's actually really, really good cut of beef that when it's cooked properly is succulent, it's tender, it's juicy, you'll get a nice sugar cookie crust on the outside. And, I remember being at many events and had farmers walk away because they go, I used to feed brisket to my dogs. Yeah. And I'd say, hang on a minute, woo, just try it. And I'd chase after them down the road, and they'd turn around and go, I'll have 3 sandwiches, thanks. So
that's awesome.
It's fantastic to educate people by tasting it, but getting them into the gate as opposed to coming to an event is very hard.
Yeah, I can imagine, absolutely. And I think the value in your time and the time it takes to prepare, especially brisket, like that's why the ultimate meat to cook from a time point of view is unbelievable. So yeah, that's awesome. Now, I could probably ask questions for the rest of the day, so I'm just going to shoot to Mark. Is there anyone in the crowd that wants to ask a question?
Anyone got a question?
No? All good? I think, Mark, you've got a couple you want to ask, mate?
Look, I've got a few questions. Look, I started my barbecue journey relatively recently, and I started with a Traeger grill, but what would you recommend someone starting out in low and slow as their first sort of barbecue to enter into the space? And I'll probably give that to Laura, Martin, and Rob.
You want to kick us off, Rob?
Yeah, I'm going to big up Weber. I know.
Laura's like, yes, thank you.
You've
That's great.
you've got the Weber kind of, expert on the stage, but I would get myself a kettle grill. It sounds so funny, but literally, with a kettle grill, you can do low and slow, hot and fast. You can set it up in different ways. You can do snake method. You can do zonal. You can cook a lovely pork
I think he's
shoulder.
trying to take your
and
job,
slow.
Laura.
What's that, sorry? I know, can we swap? Do you want to come work at my restaurant and I'll work for Weber? But, it's so, you can just do so much stuff with a kettle grill, and you can try different wood flavours, you can try different charcoals, lump, briquettes. It's just, if you want to start somewhere, start there. I wouldn't go straight for an offset. They're, time-consuming. Don't boo them, they're good. They're good, man. You've got a massive one. But I would go there because it's just a really kind of easy tool to use to create great barbecue. And if you can cook a ripper brisket on a Weber, hats off to you. I've got big offsets and, it's way more challenging on a smaller Weber than it is on one of those things. So, anyway.
I would have to agree.
Oh, okay, yeah, wow, I didn't see that coming.
What he said. No, honestly, it is a great way to enter. I mean, the cheapest kettle you can pick up is around $300, and that will last you for years,
Yep.
even though as soon as you nail it, you'll want to move on to the next bigger one.
Yep.
But it is a great way to start. I first learned how to low and slow cook on a Weber kettle and cook my first brisket on a Weber kettle, and it actually turned out fantastic. I probably winged it a little bit, but it was so great. It's important to learn the fire, so setting it up correctly, using the right type of fuel, not overloading it, really just getting to understand the dynamics between the fire, the airflow, and different temperatures to cook your food. So it is a great place to start.
And it's a good. The kettle's good for scaling down. You sort of that one brisket or the one or two racks of ribs. You can scale down and cook it. But I'm really keen to hear this. Oh, Hattem's got something as well.
Oh, hang on.
No joke, and not to steal Weber's thunder, we started our restaurant 7 years ago on a Weber Smokey Mountain, right out of the backyard.
Yeah, awesome.
And we were churning for a year. It's still in operation. 7 years later, I'm not joking. Thousands of briskets later, we've changed the grate, and the lid, and the door. But the rest, But the rest of it, the temperature gauge was obviously in Fahrenheit, which was great because anybody that came to read temperature thought it was Celsius, and then went home and burnt it, and they came back. They're like, we had it at 250 Celsius. I'm like, sucks to be you.
I'm actually going to agree that to get into barbecue, Webers are quite cheap and easy to find too, because a lot of people back in the 80s and 90s bought Webers and then never knew how to use them. So they gave them to their wives or their partners, and they became great places to store your pot plants on.
Yeah.
Or they filled up with ash or rubbish in the backyard. So when they have the council cleanups, generally speaking, there'll be a Weber on the side of the road, or you can get them on Gumtree for $50, or you can go and buy a brand spanking new one today up at Weber store and pay you $300. But they're a great unit because they're so versatile, and they're little, they're cost effective to use. To me, you just go and buy something like Jolene and just throw some sticks in it and burn some briskets, but that's what I would do. But I don't recommend that for you because it's probably a bit more of an investment you want to outlay. So, but no, yeah, Weber kettle, great way to start. I actually own a couple of Weber kettles myself. We use them every week at home. So yeah, well there you go. And if you want to don't want to go and speak to Laura, and I don't know why you wouldn't want to go and speak to Laura at the Weber store, go into the Weber Kettle Club Australia in the competition area.
100%.
One of those guys up there owns about 115 of the Webers, so he'll talk your ears off all day about different codes and when they were built and when they were manufactured. They're really, really good guys. If you can stop them drinking, they'll have a conversation with you. So,
Absolutely. That question was brought to you by Weber.
I think I've got to go buy a Weber now.
I think so, man.
Checks in the mail, isn't it, Laura?
Oh, there you go.
Do you have another one for us, Mark?
Well, I guess there's no other questions. One of the things we did touch on is brisket. I do love a good brisket, and it may be daunting to start cooking a brisket, mainly for the cost to actually buy the meat itself can be quite high. I guess for someone having a first attempt at a brisket, what would you recommend and how would you tackle it? I'm going to go Hattem, yeah. Yeah, and probably Martin and Rob.
So I got to say, I'm actually here with MLA. Big shout out to MLA. We represent Aussie meat and lamb abroad in the Middle East. You know, obviously because in the desert, as wonderful and glitzy and glamoury as Dubai is, it is the desert, and it imports 85% of its food requirements.
Wow.
So it's not like Australia where you can grow your own everything. Everything is imported. So people have a very diverse selection of the meat they choose. And we represent the Australian meat for what it is in terms of it being grass-fed, the open air, the water. And don't make fun of this term. I didn't make it up. It's these two guys right here. Yeah, put your hand up. I'm not joking. This is my actual title in the Middle East. I'm a lambassador. Thank you. I'm here all week. Tip your waitress. Try the lamb. But on the brisket side of things, it's a very forgiving cut of meat, and that's why it is kind of back in the day. They turned it into dog food, right? But the trick is moisture and temperature, and even grain-fed Australian product that has a lot of marbling will give you the flexibility and the moisture that exists in the meat without you having to baste, to spray, God forbid, or to have a water tray in there. So it's a really, literally, exactly like you said, the dynamics of the fire, the airflow, but most importantly, the moisture of the apparatus the Weber that you're using by default. Yeah, that's my 2 cents as a lambassador.
No worries.
Here we go.
Yeah.
My thought process, I only use grass-fed in the restaurant, much more around an ethical kind of standpoint than a preference for flavour. I do find grain-fed product quite rich, but it is very forgiving if you are going to do it at home. So grain-fed has a lot more marbling. I'd be getting a marble score brisket of at least 2+. So buy the best possible brisket that you can afford. You know the famous saying, you can't polish a turd? Well, you can't do that with a brisket either.
100%.
So you've got to start with something that's really, really quality, and then all you want to be doing is enhancing it and making it better. But I would echo that Australian beef is probably the best beef in the world. You know, we've got great pasture land. The cattle are really well taken care of. But I would be looking at the size of your brisket, at least 4 kilos plus. If you can't fit it in your Weber kettle, chop it in half. So you cook the point bit, and then you can cook the flat later. And then if you've got leftovers, you can make brisket chili. You can hack it up and put it into rolls. Like, there's so many things you can do post the cook instead of just having slices. So just have a meal for days because it's enormous. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. A big brisket, high marble score, and then just treat it with love and care, and it will cook when it's cooking, and it will be done when it's done. Time is irrelevant in barbecue. It's all about temperature, probing, making sure when your probe goes into it, your meat probe that is, you probe it and it goes in like butter, then it's done. And then the next most fundamental thing is let it rest.
Yep.
I let my briskets rest for 12 hours.
Wow.
You can't possibly do that at home. But let it rest, stick it in an esky, wrap it up, let it cool down, get it to about 60 degrees Celsius. So when you slice it, it's nice and tender. It's given up all that heat energy that you popped into it. And also, when you slice into it, you don't want a brisket facial, do you? You know what I mean? You don't want all that steam from that brisket going in your chops. You just spend 12 hours cooking it. You want it all in there, so let it rest. Anyway, that's what I do.
That's awesome. I agree with the make brisket to make things afterwards. So I'm all about making brisket to make brisket pie. That's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
Oh, mussman curry. Oh, my Lord. That sounds amazing.
Now we're just showing off up here, Laura. My tips and tricks for brisket is really simple. We're a Texas-style barbecue restaurant, so we use salt and pepper. We use a ratio of about 60% pepper, 40% salt. We trim them quite heavily in terms of we'll leave a 5 to 10 mil fat cap over the top, but we shape them up like a nice raindrop, so like a teardrop. So if you think about a teardrop or a raindrop falling out of the sky, the wind resistance from the bottom is going to cause the wind to rush around. And same as in an offset, you've got that wind direction in a standard flow offset from right to left or left to right, and it's flowing over the top of your brisket. So the point end of your brisket, the fatty, thicker end, is protecting your leaner, thin end. And the idea of trying to cook a brisket is cook it as evenly as possible. so the whole brisket comes off the pit at the same time. So your point's not finished before your flat, or your flat's not finished before your point. You want it to come off at the same time.
Yeah, that's a really good tip, actually.
And as Martin said, it's time. So if I'm going to have dinner at 6 o'clock on a Friday night or a Saturday night, and I'm going to cook my brisket for 12 hours, I'm not going to start it at 12 o'clock, at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm probably looking at starting my brisket at 8 or 9 o'clock the night before, okay? If anything goes wrong, I've got some leeway to get my brisket finished. So if my brisket comes off the pit at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, I can hold it in an esky, I can put my oven on low temperature. The key for me with making good brisket, when it's probe tender and it's ready to go, before I put it in an esky, before I put it to rest, I'm going to vent it, okay? So I open up, we wrap in foil, so I open up the foil and I'll let that steam out, because it's probably going to be finished around 205 to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, which is going to be at 96 to 98 degrees Celsius, okay? It's nearly boiling water temperature when it's finished. When I want to steam it off, I want to get it to come down to about 160 degrees Fahrenheit, about 60 degrees Celsius, fairly rapidly, okay? That could take 2 or 3 hours. You're sitting on a bench in a nice pan, an oven pan, inside the kitchen. Open the foil up, let it steam off. Let it come down to temperature, okay? If you've still got a couple of hours to go until dinner's ready to go, get your esky out, boil your kettle of water, pour your kettle of water in an esky to heat your esky up, okay? Wrap the foil back up, pour the water out of the esky so your esky's pre-warmed, dry it with some paper towel, and then place your brisket in the esky to rest until dinner time. If you need to, probe it before you're about to serve it, about half an hour beforehand. If you need to, turn the oven on, or better still, have your smoker running outside and say, hey boys, look what I've been cooking all day, and go out and put it on the smoker and make it look like you've been doing it, and have a couple of beers and enjoy yourself. But give yourself time. So have your brisket come off at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then enjoy your party. I've learned this when I first started cooking brisket, because when I cooked my first brisket, I put it on at 6 o'clock in the morning for a 6 o'clock dinner, and it wasn't quite ready. So at 11 o'clock at night when it was ready, and I woke my wife up to say the brisket was finished, she told me to get lost. The kids had already had pizza and gone to bed. I was half pissed because I drank until that brisket was finished. I thought it was fantastic, but lucky my wife from Texas, she did make me smell my smokers, and we're still here today. So.
No, that's awesome. Some great tips there for everyone. Thanks so much. One last final question before we wrap up, and this is kind of coming with the recipes and flavours, so I want to get it from Dan, Steph, and Laura as well. Obviously, you guys have to develop recipes for your sausages, for your restaurant, for the Weber recipes as well. Where do you get your inspiration? How do you sort of work through that process?
Yeah, we actually have to create a lot of recipe content creation on nearly a daily basis. It's a joint venture, and I think it comes down to obviously what protein we're using. We do use a lot of pork belly, a lot of sausages as well, and sweet potatoes. We're ambassadors for Sweet Potato Australia as well as some pork. So where we get our inspiration from is, I think there's so many beautiful and wonderful cooks, home cooks. We're just home cooks, we're not chefs. But definitely chefs around Australia. Well, you're now a qualified chef. Just saying. Who did the paperwork? I should be too. But yeah, I just get inspiration from definitely dining out, listening from these talented people up here on the stage. You know, I want to go and make brisket now and see if I can nail it. So it's just, I suppose, listening to techniques and trying again. You know, some recipes don't work, and maybe you can tweak it yourself. But we like to create really simple, yummy, home-cooked food. And that's the recipes we like to share with our followers and the people that, just like yourself at home. And again, when you're entertaining at home, it's, for us, is really important to be prepared. There's nothing worse than being in the kitchen when all your friends are over and they're all enjoying themselves, but you're like stressing out about what you're cooking at home. So yeah, just being prepared and creating yummy food. That's what makes us happy.
Absolutely. And Laura,
I would agree that keeping it simple is always best, and to keep it simple you really need to use quality ingredients, so always leaning on seasonal ingredients. Fresh is best. Like beautiful, just young vegetables cooked on the barbecue, bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, just grilled up is fantastic. Recipe inspiration as well. You can cook anything on a barbecue. Anything you would cook inside in your oven or your stovetop, try it outside. I promise it will taste so much better. Anything from baking or pizzas, cook it outside. It would
No,
be,
that's a fantastic tip. And I think, just the whole concept of taking it outside and actually just making it, a bit more of an event than anything else was fantastic. Now, we haven't got much time left, so just quickly, Dan and Steph, where are we going to find you?
You'll find us at the pink tent, the big Sunport pink tent. We're doing tasters of our sausages, and also after 12:45, our porchetta demonstration. We're going to have a sample of that as well.
You guys got to check this out. Laura?
So I'll be at the Weber stand all day. We've got heaps of food cooking all day, 9 barbecues. Just come up, say hi. We've got lots of taste testing, and also doing presentations throughout the day as well.
Nice.
So
You've got to try the pizza. They make some amazing pizza.
Oh yeah, the
You gotta
pizza
try
is
that.
delicious.
Now, Martin, I know you're sort of chilling out this
Yeah,
weekend, but so wherever you see Martin, just go say hi.
Yeah, this is really a weekend for me away from the restaurant, which is a bit naughty because it's Mother's Day. But I'm just cruising, so I'm not cooking barbecue this weekend. I'm just enjoying the event, which I don't usually get to do because I'm usually cooking a million tons of food for the punters. But I'm just cruising around, so
Cool.
you see me, say hello.
Pick his brain. He's got some great tips. How about you, Robert?
I'll be at Smokin Hot and Saucy vending site. So Jolene, the big white smoker, you'll see me open up. We're doing some cooking. I think we've got about 80 briskets for today, 35, 40 pork butts. So come by, say hello. If you've got any questions you don't want to ask here, come and see me. We've got no secrets. If you want to learn something directly from me, happy to answer any questions you've got.
And no worries. And the Lambassador?
Yeah, being the Lambassador, I'm obviously making chicken. no, I'm making lamb right in front of the stage with 2 smoking Arabs. We're very honored to be there. It's a lamb pita pocket, pickled onions, summa, mustard aioli, garlic, and squeeze a lime right before it goes out.
Fantastic. No worries. Thanks heaps for Hattem Mattar, Robert Thraves, Laura Romeo, Dan and Steph, and Martin Goffin. Thanks, everyone. And we'll be back here tomorrow morning.
Thanks very much, guys, for coming to watch. And thanks again to Rayan Fernando from the Barbecue and Brews show for hosting. Thank you, guys.